know some families are like, it's summertime, stay in your pajamas all day long, or, you can
Mm.
eat whatever you want. And it sounds fun and it sounds easy and convenient, but it actually can create more stress and chaos for the whole family.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
And Jen Harris, an interior designer
who have teamed up to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings. Find the reframe.
start your reclaim.
Hi, welcome back to Reframe and Reclaim. I am Courtney Huckabee.
And I'm Jen Harris.
And today we are in the full swing of summer, and we want to talk about how to make summers more successful, but not make it too stressful.
That sounds amazing. Because every summer I start out with, we're going to do this, and we have this amazing bucket list. We're going to do it all. It's going to be perfect. And then by June 12th, I'm like, I am exhausted. I just need some peace and quiet.
Yes. I think so many of us, we have a lot of expectations of summer,
Yes.
whether it's of ourselves or our house or our free time. And really, we want to make sure we keep things a little simple with a little bit of fun mixed in. And I think that'll create a more successful and less stressful summer. So, are you ready for it?
Yes, teach us, Courtney. Teach us the ways.
Okay. Well, this is not my ways. This is actual really good research. And practice, I will say, is something that can be helpful. So, as we talk about like the weekends and the weekdays, I don't know how you are, but like on the weekdays, I'm pretty good about like getting in bed on time, getting my kids in bed on time. But when the weekend comes, we want to have so much fun. So we're like staying up late and we're eating
Yes.
all the junk food. And then you get back to Sunday night, and how are we doing? Right?
Yes.
We're
And
like,
it's a scramble to try and get back on routine.
we're all falling apart.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't work very well. Birthday parties and end of the year, at the end of the school year for kids, if you have them, it's a little bit like May stress fest. So we're going to try to recalibrate that. And what I think is I found really interesting in some of the research I've done is like for successful summers, whether it's with families or yourself, is to actually keep a semblance of the same kind of routine. So it's not like you're going to work 9 to 5, your kids going to school Monday through Friday, but we're still kind of getting to bed-ish at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's not a free-for-all. We're not a Lord of the Flies. We're not like,
what happens at your house in the
right.
summer?
Well, I think about it. I'm like, some parents are like, I'm just like exhausted and done. Go play, do whatever. And really, we all need a little bit of structure that helps us feel a little bit more in control. And if you have a structure or expectations for your children, they're more likely to follow them knowing what they are.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of, understanding there. But just to get into bed at the similar-ish time. So if your kids are going to bed at 8, maybe we allow them to go to bed by 9, but we're not staying up till midnight.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can still take advantage of the late night sun hours, playing outside. Okay, wonderful.
How easy is it for you to get your 7 and 9-year-old to bed when the sun's still up?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we do have blackout curtains for that very reason, but yeah,
But we can stay up a little later, but we want to also make sure that our kids are still getting and we are getting the same amount of sleep that we need. And people are a little bit surprised when the 6 hours is really not appropriate, especially for women and children. Men, you are the lucky ones. You actually can get by with less sleep somehow. I don't know how.
Really?
Yeah.
What? I haven't heard that research.
You haven't. Well,
No.
I think that the mental load and how women are more of a global thinker. They're thinking about the kids and they're thinking about work and they're thinking about the house and they're thinking about finances, which men think of all those things. They just don't think of all those things all at once, all of the time. Men are more linear thinkers and can kind of compartmentalize better. So I think their stress when it comes to all the things they're holding on to is minimized and their brain needs less to recuperate at night.
I guess that's why I think women always need less sleep or just get less sleep because of all that. Because I know so many people who wake up in the middle of the night and because of all the things that need to be done or the stressors, you can't go back to sleep. So we tend to operate on less sleep. But what you're saying is we really need more, but sometimes we operate with less. Okay, got it.
We do our best.
We all
But
need our
optimally, we actually need 8 to 10 hours of sleep for adult women, and children actually still need about 8 to 11 hours of sleep.
Mhm.
So if you have younger children, elementary age, middle school age, or if they're going through puberty and in high school, they actually need a lot of rest as they're
Yeah.
going through all of those, physical, physiological, and hormonal changes. So allowing your children, if they're staying up till 9 or 10, to sleep in to get the optimal amount of sleep that they need. And so that might be, the digital curfews, turning off TVs at a certain
Mhm.
time, turning off phones at a certain time. Even for us, those blue lights can really keep our brains alert
Yeah.
and make us think that we need to be on attention and not restful. So that can be really helpful. So a bedtime routine can be really helpful just to make sure we're not going chaotic.
And maybe that bedtime routine, like you said, they're staying up a little bit later. Maybe it's you get to read an extra book, or you have this extra time to just hang
Sure.
out in your bed. So it doesn't have to be you're out running around,
Here's
being
some sugar
crazy,
and
right?
movies. Now go to sleep. It
Right.
doesn't work well. Yeah, it doesn't help.
Okay.
And the other thing is to have somewhat of a similar morning routine too.
Mhm.
So if your kids are staying up or you're staying up till 2 or 3 a.m.,
Ooh,
your body, I know,
that's
what is that
I
like?
know.
Back in my 20s,
Right.
studying and stuff, all those things. But if you're staying up till 2 or 3 a.m., you really need to sleep longer.
Yes.
But some of our bodies are more susceptible or prone to having that internal alarm.
Mhm.
So, especially if my little boy, he can go to sleep at 7 p.m. or 11 p.m., which is very, very, I think he's laid up past 11 once or twice in his whole life. He will still wake up at 7 a.m.
Yep.
And so if you have a child or yourself and you know that about you, you have that internal alarm, really prioritizing sleep and making sure the morning routine is
Yeah.
somewhat similar. Like we're still brushing our teeth in the morning, we're still eating breakfast in the morning, we're still maybe whatever that morning routine is, just to kind of get your body ready for the day.
Yes.
So I know some families are like, it's summertime, stay in your pajamas all day long, or you can eat whatever you want, and it sounds fun and it sounds easy and convenient, but it actually can create more stress and chaos for the whole family.
I could see that. Yeah, because to me, it's always like the summertime seemed when I could implement those things I want to do during the school year, especially with morning routines. But there's just never enough time, like making the beds or having, a healthy breakfast and not just like a grab and go. So,
Yes.
yeah, I like instilling that kind of stuff in the summertime.
And talking about like making the bed, it's
Mhm.
hard during the school year or during the work time, to really like get all of those house skills or house chores
Yeah.
done. This can be a time where we are, shying away from academics or shying away from as much work. Maybe you're taking some time off or working remotely more from home, and really try and get more of those home things
Hmm.
accomplished. If your house has become, a war zone, or you can't recognize it when you come
It
in,
really is Lord of the Flies over there.
we're just going extremes, just to, let it could be worse, right? This is a great time for you to also be like, how do I need to reset the house?
Hmm.
Or if you have children, a really great time to go from academics to more of those life skills in the home, whether it is making the bed or maybe helping with meal preparation, helping with lawn maintenance. I know the grass
Mm.
grows really fast in the summer for some reason, trimming the trees,
Yeah.
um, helping them learn some of those life skills, doing their laundry, some of those things that maybe they didn't have as much time or energy to put into during the school year.
So, what is your thought process as far as like rewarding kids for doing these life skills and chores that they're going to need to know anyways? But I know some people will, pay their kids to do these things, or some people will say, if you do this much, you get a book at the end of the week. Or what is your take on that kind of positive reinforcement for life
Positive
skills?
reinforcement's amazing. I love positive reinforcement, but I think you have to use it appropriately.
Okay.
Because if you make it a choice and you're like, you will get paid this much if, and then your child says, I don't want to, but you're still going to buy them the toys, really, like, what is the drive?
Right.
Okay. I love the idea of extrinsic motivation, which is, maybe having a family meeting with your children and saying, we want you to learn these things. What can we do to celebrate that you've mastered that?
Mm.
Asking them what that could be, and then coming to an agreement of what you feel is appropriate. But I mean, we all get positive reinforcement from doing a job. So money, actually, if you have like an older child who, is like learning how to budget money, or if you really make it their job that they get paid this much money or they don't get paid, that could be a really good natural and logical consequence in there too. But being careful how much you're paying,
Right.
I'm not paying you $25 to do one load of laundry, or you get paid so much per week, but you didn't do these 5 things and you're still getting that pay. So I think it can be really great to help them with that extrinsic motivation to get started with doing that, but eventually we'll want them to do it because they feel good about it.
Right. I was thinking even just with like the meal prep or learning to cook, maybe it's something where at the end of the week they have their friends over and they cook for everybody or cook for family, and then that way they can show off their skills, but they're making a meal they like. And
I love that because it doesn't cost money.
Right.
And they're getting to show mastery of their skills and they're showing what they're capable of, which is really great for all of us. And for their friends to be like, wow, you made me that. And they can like feel really proud of it. And then maybe that's something else I want my friends over again.
Right.
Well, if you'd like to have your friends over for a meal, we need to be able to prepare that meal for
And then
them.
that's teaching them the life skill of hosting and inviting and creating
Hopefully.
community. Yeah.
Hopefully. There's a lot in there, but yes. But I do think it is really great. I know that during COVID, whenever we were in lockdown, I had a nephew who was in high school, and he came over. He loves food. He's a foodie. He wants to try all the foods, and we couldn't go out to eat, so we actually had him come over, and we're like, "What do you want to learn how to cook this weekend?" And so we learned how to cook like dumplings, and we learned how to cook barbecue. We learned how to cook. His favorite is these meatballs, and he's really good at meatballs and spaghetti. So he's actually done that where we will have family over and he'll cook the food for the dinner and then he'll be able to serve it. But he can also cook for other friends now. He's an adult. And we also do that at our cousin sleepovers, like who wants to help with pancakes or who wants to get the orders for everybody's drinks or who wants to set the table.
So cute.
Well, and everybody gets a chance to have a job and feel as though they're contributing, and then they come and give me the orders. It's just fun. Including your kids in the daily life skills, it sounds like a chore, but honestly, if you make it fun and we're all doing it together, it can be great memories for everybody, but also a lot of help in the long run.
So based on like clients you're seeing and what you're seeing with kids growing up, what do you think are the main life skills people need to learn? And what are the life skills that people haven't been taught?
I will say, I have been a counselor for 20 years now. I can't believe I'm that old. I'm not. I started counseling.
But you're
when
21.
I started counseling when I was 10, so I don't know how old I am. But I will say it's been really interesting. I've seen a lot of teenagers, young adults, and even full adults who have their own families and children that don't have certain life skills. They weren't taught those life skills from their parents or their family members. Number one is cleaning. How to appropriately, like, what cleaning solvents do you use to clean the toilet versus the mirror? Or what cleaning, how do you appropriately mop the floor? And so I think those are skills. Sometimes us as adults don't have those skills to pass it down to our children. So if you want to learn a new skill together, that can be really great. And if you don't know those skills, ask around or Google. Google's really great with that too.
Yeah, there's lots of TikTok videos as well.
Yeah, yeah, and there's so many, cleaning solutions. I will say laundry. There are a lot of young adults, I would say, whether it's 18 to 25 who are going off to college and calling their parents, or going and ordering laundry service because they don't know a new type of washer that's not their washer. Or I've seen parents do some really creative ways of like a little sticky note. Step 1, push this button. Step 2, choose this. Step 3. So there's like notes on the actual washing machine or dryer so they can learn how to do it themselves. So cleaning, laundry, I've heard a lot of challenges with that.
Yeah, I thought for sure it would have been like budgeting or,
There are
other
plenty of
adulting
adults
things.
who don't know how to do that too. I will
Yeah.
say when it comes to like when I have clients who come in and we're talking about family, it's definitely how to clean. A lot of teenagers or young kids will say if you can't see it, then it's clean. And so they'll like shove everything under the bed, they'll shove everything into the closet, and the parents aren't really checking on it. They just don't see it, so it's
Right.
clean. But a lot of children will like shove like food wrappers and things away or not know how to like throw things in the trash, and then it can become more of a hygienic thing with critters and bugs that come into the room, and kids don't always know that sugar and food, you know, critters are connected to that
Yes,
or
yes.
get attracted to that.
Okay, so we've talked about cleaning, we've talked about cooking, some budgeting. Is there anything else as far as routines if you have a family or children in the home over the summer or other life skills they should be practicing?
So many life skills. I mean, meal planning, maybe
Mm-hmm.
grocery list, those kind of things, or helping to cook the meals. I think learning how to declutter. Our book is very much about our stuff.
Yes.
And summertime, there's extra time. So why don't we spend that time in your room, in your playroom, in the living room, in your library, whatever it is? And what do we need to take out so we can make room for new things?
Yes.
What can we pass down to other people to use? I know I get a lot from Jen and her boys. It's such a wonderful blessing for us to get new reading materials or pajamas or fun toys. But when we receive more, we are practicing who to give to next. And so that
Yes.
can be really helpful.
And from a decluttering standpoint, I will say I find summertime, especially at the end of summer, is a great time to take stock of their toys because
Yes.
you can say, you've had this whole summer of free time to play with these toys.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use these? Do you still want them or can they be passed on to someone else? Because, sometimes like, oh, I don't have time or I forgot about this. Well, here's your time. So
And you can say that at the beginning of the
yeah,
summer. The pre-communicated expectation. Remember, expectation is important so your children know what to expect. Hey, this summer I want you to have so much fun. You get to have extra time to play or read or do your video games, whatever it is. But whatever I don't see you using, we're going to really talk about what we
yeah,
can let go of at the end of the summer.
yeah.
So it gives them an idea of that. Or if they're like, you know what, I was playing and I realized I don't want this ice cream shop anymore, then bring it to me and we can find out a new home for it.
Something else I think is great, especially if you have older kids, if you are planning a trip or maybe it's just like a day out or something on the weekend, tell them this is our budget. What can we do in the neighborhood as a family outing? Plan for gas, plan for meals, plan for what we're doing, and have them just do that simple step of trying to
Mm-hmm.
understand money and budgeting better. I think is a really good little activity to do for older kids.
And I will say for my nephew, he's an important part of my life, but whenever he graduated high school, we decided to go on a trip. And I told him, I want you to navigate where we're going, what flights, we went to Europe, what flights, what trains, how much it cost, where you want to stay. So he didn't make the final decision, but he learned there's a lot of planning that goes into
Yes.
those things. And I think it's a really great skill. Like once we got to our new destinations, I asked him and another cousin that went with us, okay, where are we going today? What train do we need to get on? Or, how long does it take to get there? When does it
Yeah.
open? How much does it cost to go there? So I think asking them to think through that helps them, one, appreciate
I was
when
gonna
you're
say, did
planning
they
things.
appreciate it more
Yes.
at the end?
But also they felt really proud of how they navigated the trains. They felt really proud of, knowing like, what flight we were going from one city to another. And so it creates that confidence in them when they want to travel on their
Yeah.
own one day. But I think it is great, even if you have young kids, we're going from this city and we're going to drive to that city. Let's do a little bit of, searching about it or learning about that city. What
Yes.
fun things are there to do in that city? That way they can think of things that are interesting to them and we can start talking about the whole itinerary.
And something we do in our family for road trips specifically is at the beginning of the trip when we take our first stop, well, depending on the length of the trip, we'll give like $5 or $10 for snacks. And we're like, okay, these snacks
I
have to
love
have
that.
to satisfy you the whole road trip. So pick out what you want, and
Mhm.
natural consequences if you spend it all and eat it all day one.
Yes, yes, and I think those are really great things to learn, like, you have this much money,
Mhm.
and I think, if they are, you're giving them a summer budget or if they're earning money for chores, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just really being realistic about how much money they're getting and how they're able to spend that money.
Right.
And I love the idea of, like, creating a budget for groceries or if you're
Mhm.
going out to eat. And so learning those finances, because there are a lot of adults that I see and young adults who don't understand, like, credit cards and credit card
Yeah.
interest rates and late payments and late payment fees and mortgages. I mean, there's so much that we have to learn along the way, have someone teach us or figure out on our own. There's a lot of things that I still don't know about in life too. And so when I don't know, either ask my husband to help me understand it or ask a friend or reach out to a colleague. But getting curious, and that way I'm not feeling like I can't, but I'm feeling more
Right.
capable or knowledgeable about what to do in those situations.
Well, even just having realistic expectations, right? Where it's like, okay, well, if I'm making, I'll just round $10 an hour,
Hmm.
is this meal worth me working? Is this worth 1 hour of my time? To me, like growing up, that was a big life lesson of like, oh, do I really want to work another hour to pay for this, or would I rather put my money towards something else?
Yeah, yeah. And I will say, as a young adult who didn't get married until I was an adult, and almost, 40 years old, I did get a lot of life experiences of how to pay for a mortgage and how to
Mhm.
pay for insurance, how to pay for doctor's appointments, gasoline, groceries, all on my own. But there's a lot of people who financially, they do have to, still live with their families, or we have multi generational families, which is
Mhm.
wonderful. But that can be great to lean on each other. But then we're also at a disadvantage of not contributing the same as we
Mm,
would as a young
yes.
adult
Yeah.
as well. And I think it's great that young adults are learning how to live with their parents longer and help take care of their parents, but it needs to be reciprocal, not like
Yeah.
my parents are taking care of me still.
You're
Like,
not a guest in the house.
remember
I know. I
that.
love that. I've been saying
Don't
that a
raise
lot.
guests in your home. And so if you have a young adult who's living at home still because of, going through education or exploring careers or financial, inability, how are you allowing them and giving them opportunity to contribute to the home? Are they paying for one of the bills? Are they paying for their cell phone? Are
Mhm.
they helping with cooking once a week? Or are they
Insurance,
help?
gas for the car. Yeah.
And I think it's really important, for us as adults, we want our children to be loved and taken care of, but it can be a disservice to your adult child to take care of them the same as if they were a young child.
Yes. And then you have kids going to college who don't know how to do laundry. So, all right. I know we've talked a lot about kids today and their routines. What about for those listeners who don't have
Yes.
family live with them, or it's just them and their partner? What should they do over the summer?
Well, and I think it's important, just how we talked about, like, sleep routine and
Hmm.
consistency. I know when I was younger and in college, I'd be like, school is out. I don't have to study. I'm going to, like, stay up and binge watch a show, or I'm going to go hang out with my friends all night. And then the next day when I was working, I was really not functioning well. I was lacking sleep. One coffee wasn't enough. So consistent sleep still, I think, is
Hmm.
important. Celebrate celebrations, but don't make every day a celebration,
Mm, yes.
because we don't want to become like the shift in our sleep to be up till 3, waking up at 2, and then our whole day is kind of
Yeah.
wonky and off. Also, making sure that you exercise. It's a really great time to be outdoors ish if you're in
Depends
Texas.
on where you are in the
Yeah.
country.
And then we still need to make sure we're not scrolling and scrolling and scrolling
Mm,
or watching and binge watching. Giving ourselves kind of curfews around screens can be really helpful for our brain. Being social, finding people to connect with. This is a great time for you to plan a dinner with your
mm,
friends. If you have a friend that's in a nearby city, to like have a road trip together. So making sure we're socializing, and then this is a good time to reflect on your own kind of budget, your own home,
hmm.
what we need to reset in our home that can be really helpful. So just kind of reviewing your day at the end of the day. Maybe it's a brief reflection or journal, or how I've spent my day, how I felt about how the day went, and then what I need to change for the next day. Yeah. So for you, now that you're a mom and a partner, what are your hopes for the summer, and what kind of things do you think you'll be putting in place as we're into the summer months?
Like I said, we tend to keep a general routine. My oldest son, if he's like he won't sleep in, and so if his sleep schedule gets off, we pay for it the next day. Like there's grouchiness, and that's nothing against him. That's just his natural body. So we know that we need to be stricter on our routines and our bedtimes. I think what I'm going to do is, as my kids get older or a little bit older, I think I'm going to start challenging them more to help plan something for us to go do, or to have more chores around the house that might be incentivized by money, or like some of the extra things they don't normally do. So we still do them making the bed, and they do laundry, um, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think they're ready to have some more responsibility. So
Yeah.
yeah. What about you?
Um, so this summer, I'm still trying to navigate that. I still work, and so I will still be going to work, and we're going to be trying to add a little bit more academics in for my kid, because my kid is in preschool and he's, getting ready for kindergarten. So we're going to be, just kind of extending that learning a little bit, doing a little bit of fun math or a little bit of fun reading. But we are going to be doing some road trips this summer. And so we're like letting him know we're going to go to this place. And so we're talking a lot about the new place we're going to. We might get books from the library about the place. And that's what we did last time we traveled, is got books about it and videos about it, looked it up so he knew what to expect when we were there. So I love that kind of learning, like the experiential learning. So he knows, like one of the places we're going has a train depot, so we're definitely visiting that because he loves trains. But kind of like talking about, like, we're going on a plane or we're going in the road, and what the different snacks we might need, because we need to make sure he likes his snacks and will eat the snacks, and us not packing things that he won't eat, because then we all get to suffer from that too.
Yes, right. And I will say that's one thing from the academic side we do in the summers as well, is like we try and do a little bit of math every week, just real light.
Yes.
And then when we go on road trips, like we drive up to Maine in the summer. And since it's the 250th anniversary of America, we're trying to make it more historical on the road trip.
Love that.
And stopping at certain historical spots along the way. And so trying to tie in the history with the road trip. So
see, you have a little bit of fun, with a little bit of learning. Even we can learn from that.
We disguise the learning as fun.
Yeah. And I think that's important for summer. We need to have that, like, some kind of structure, loose structure, but have fun in there. We still need to be responsible, eat our food, have nutrition. We still need to have sleep. It's great to be active, make sure we're brushing our teeth and, bathing, and, like, we don't want our kids to go weeks and weeks without a bath, or we still need to brush our teeth every day. I think those things help us feel good, but also help us to, have our bodies ready for whatever comes up. And then, mind and emotions and actions, what we do really helps us all in feeling good about the summer. So we want you to have a fun summer. We want you to make sure that you're not stressed, but making sure you're also focused on continuing to care for you, your family, and your home.
Yeah, so whether you have a family, or if you're going at it alone or with your partner, keeping those routines helps everyone with their mental states.
And communicating with your partner.
Yes.
Communicating with your partner and communicating with your family, if you have families, about what your hopes are, what the expectations are, what your needs are, so that hopefully those will get met.
So we hope everyone has a great summer. Like and subscribe, or share this episode if you think it will be helpful for someone who's going to be struggling this summer with their routine. So we'll see you next week.